Hey, all right, it's the Android Headline Show. Tonight is extra special. This is the let's see, episode 75. So it is September 4th, Thursday evening, as usual. My name's Jeremiah. I'm joined by Nick and Alex from the site. You guys want to say what's up?
What's up, everyone?
How's it going?
It's good. It's good, man. It's exciting time. So IFA 2014 is basically wrapped up at this point. All the important stuff, all the big stuff that we were paying attention to has been announced. Alex is actually on location in Chicago at Motorola's event. So lots of fun stuff there that we will talk about later. so, but yeah, man, it's been a really busy, really fun couple of days. I am super excited about Motorola's new stuff. Before we do that, though, man, so I want to talk about a couple of giveaways that we're doing because I'm really excited about these too. So we're giving away an LG G3 with D brands. That is open until the 9th of September. Tomorrow, we are giving away, starting tomorrow, we're starting a contest to give away a Galaxy Note 4. We'll jump into the Note 4.
That actually started today, or this morning.
I thought it was the 5th.
4th.
Aha, fantastic. That's even better. So that started this morning. We'll go into the Galaxy Note 4, get you all the specs and details on that. But we're giving one away. So that contest is open until the 30th of September. So we are right now giving away two of the year's best phones over on AndroidHeadlines.com. You still got plenty of time to go enter the contest. Super easy, rafflecopter entries. Share the contest on social media. But you better go get in those contests, man. I'm so excited that we've had these, because we had the really good one with Slicker Apps too. It's been the summer of giving away awesome phones, and that's really exciting for us. So go do that. First things first. So next things, let's go ahead and jump into IFA 2014 in Berlin. That most of the important stuff was announced yesterday. We had some stuff today as well, but for all intents and purposes, I think the actual conference ends tomorrow. But all the big stuff's out of the way. We may have a couple little things here and there.
It actually starts tomorrow. It
See,
starts the 5th through the 10th. The press days are 3rd and 4th. So we're just going to see like little stuff, like somebody announced a new speaker, or, stuff like that.
I thought it was the 4th and 5th. Well, by the end of tomorrow, all the important stuff will be done. It's basically all done now, but
pretty much.
Yeah, all the big announcements are clear.
Yep.
Yeah, like Samsung and Sony.
Yep.
Yes, and those were the two that we were really excited about. The Galaxy Note 4, Samsung unveiled that, as well as the Galaxy Note Edge. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of intrigued by the Note Edge.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. We saw this back at CES. They were demoing this concept, but they actually put it in a phone.
Yeah, it was like CES 2013, I think, like last year.
Yep. When we first started seeing the curved display stuff. Yeah.
I think the Yum stuff was actually like January 2012, to be honest with you.
It was my first CES here.
It was
I
a
think that was
long time
2013.
ago.
I think that was 2013 because I started in July 2012. So that would have been January.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, January 11th, 2013. Look at that.
Yeah.
Who was wrong? Anyway, keep going.
Because I remember writing about it.
Wrong all over the place tonight. It's all right.
That's all right.
I think what I like best about the implementation on this is when they first showed off Yum, okay, they had the display go along both sides. And I know a lot of people were wondering, okay, how are you really going to use that? Because you're going to be holding the phone and your palm is constantly going to be touching that edge. And so with the Note Edge, they've only done it on the one side. So the only issue that you're going to have to deal with is, okay, well, you can't necessarily hold the phone one-handed with your right hand, which, I don't know, that might be a problem if you're trying to, one-hand type, but most of the time you can't do that on these size devices anyway, so I guess maybe it's not an issue.
Yeah, and if you're right-handed, you won't be able to hold it that way because, if you're trying to use it one-handed, you're not going to hold it in your left hand and do it. You're going to hold it in your right hand and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
The words aren't coming out the right way for me.
So if you haven't seen the Note Edge yet, it's basically the Note 4. The specs are almost identical. The screen is just a hair smaller. But other than that, the specs are pretty much identical, except that the display actually wraps around, just a little bit, wraps around the edge. So it kind of folds almost, and you've got like a strip. So when it's laying down flat, you'd have display right here, and it's kind of rounded. It's a pretty cool concept, and I'm interested to see if Samsung uses it for anything more than just notifications. But it's really cool looking.
You can do multitasking, I believe, from the side. So you have like all kinds of app icons. I think like your most used apps are there. So probably like for me, Google Plus, Twitter, stuff like that. Just jump into it quick there without going home.
Yeah, it's basically a quick launcher toolbar, and then you have, I think they said 7 pages that you can customize, and one of them could be like a toolbar where you have like flashlight, Wi-Fi toggles, blah 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 kind of stuff, instead of having to pull down from the top.
It's kind of like that toolbox feature they started in S5, where you have like that little like white circle that you can move around, and you can open it up, and it has, I think, 5 different apps that you can open up.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about it too.
Yeah, so it's sort of a better way to put it on the side rather than popping it up on your screen. It's always there.
Yep. So spec-wise, we are looking at a 5.6 on the Galaxy Note Edge, 5.6-inch display, 2K display, so 2560 by 1440 resolution, with the extra row of 160 pixels, the curve to the right, added on there. A Snapdragon 805 with 3 gigs of RAM, 16 or 32 gigs of storage, Bluetooth 4.1, Wi-Fi 3000 milliamp hour battery, 3.7 megapixel front-facing camera, and a 16 megapixel rear-facing camera. So,
what's interesting about the camera that they've done both on the Edge and the Note 4 is it's not just regular OIS. What did they call their dual OIS system? It was just like smart OIS. That was it. So it's basically it's a hardware OIS module, sort of like is in the G2, G3, Nexus 5, and it also uses digital image stabilization at the same time. So it's supposed to be a better algorithm for getting rid of hand jitter, stuff like that. It'll be really interesting to see how well it does in low light, especially because I know that's one particular place that Samsung cameras have struggled with in the past, is the low light stuff.
It's interesting they went with the name Smart OIS, given that everything LG put in the G3 was smart. Something.
Right?
Yeah, I wonder if that was a direct attack.
Smart. I mean, it's not like it really matters because it's not like they're calling their keyboard the smart keyboard or something, or LG had a smart OIS before. But it's just interesting to see them go the smart route with that name.
Yeah, it's funny. I also like the I don't know, it's kind of a side note, but the overall color scheme of the phone. I like how they've always done this different color trend for each of the Note series. Just the default backgrounds and lock screens and stuff like that.
Yep. I actually kind of like the way the Note 4 looks, especially with I like that they kept like the leather type back. I don't know, is it actually still leather?
I think it's the same material, at least it looks like it in pictures. As far as the design goes, I'm not crazy about the edge. I don't know, I don't like the lines. I like that it's metal. That's a big deal. And then The speaker though, they stuck the speaker back on the back again.
It
Yeah, I
wasn't on the
noticed
back
that.
for the Note 3 because it was for the S5.
It was on the bottom
For the Note
Yeah,
3 it was, yep.
for the Note
the
3.
S5 had it on the back, so that was when they first went to the back again. Hmm.
Yeah, I think the Note 3 is the only one that I can think of probably ever that has the speaker not on the back.
Yeah, from Samsung at least.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I meant. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
because LG had it on the bottom too, and so does the Nexus 5 for that matter.
Yep, speaker on the back is bad. Oh well.
Yep.
Doesn't the OnePlus One have it on the bottom too?
Yep, it does.
It has dual speakers on the bottom.
I thought so. I couldn't remember though.
Yeah.
The Note 4 is, so the Note 4 is basically what we expected. 5.7-inch display versus the 5.6 on the Note Edge. The Snapdragon 805, we completely expected that as well. The Note 4 will also come with an Exynos 5 Octa chip for overseas markets that don't have LTE. All the LTE markets are getting the Snapdragon processor.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
It's a hair taller than the Note 3, I think,
yep.
but a little bit less wide, and then the S Pen's a little bit longer as well, which probably makes it more comfortable. That seems to be the trend. They always make it a little bit longer.
And having it just a little bit taller but not as wide, again, was going to make it easier to hold. The Note 3 was pretty difficult to use. You really couldn't use it one-handed, so.
Yeah, that's why they even introduced a new way of doing the multitasking on this, where with the Note 3 they had this thing where if you, I'm trying to remember how you activate it. I think you slide from the side twice and it basically shrinks it into a window that you can one hand. And so they sort of took that concept with this, and you can now shrink it and move it to the bottom and then drag another app to the top and do the multi-window that way. So you can sort
Nice.
of one-hand multitask now.
Yeah, that's good.
So they're designing it, to try to be as one-handed as possible.
And that's what you sign up for when you get a giant device like this. But
Sure.
if there are ways to do it when you need to, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's always helpful.
And with all the software that Samsung packs in, they might as well do something to assist with that. So
Yeah, and that seems to be something that they are not addressing with this phone.
right. The Note 4 does have a 3,220 milliamp hour battery
Yep. So with
versus the
fraction,
3,000 on the Note Edge.
Yep.
So you get a little bit better battery life out of the Note 4. They also said that they optimized it quite a bit. So it'll have improved battery life over the Note 3.
Yeah, it's probably the same stuff we saw on the S5.
Yep.
And then I don't really remember if the Snapdragon 805 itself brings any battery improvements, but that's pretty standard fare for a new processor, I guess.
Yeah, it should.
I know some people had like the G3 with the 805, and they compared it to like the one with the 801, and they didn't see any change in battery life, and that was really the only difference between the two was the 801 versus 805. They saw probably like 30 minutes to an hour extra, but
Yeah.
that's like overall usage, not on screen time.
Yeah, it's not
So,
a significant amount. Well,
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe with a device built, only for this chip, it'll be different. There's no telling.
I mean, it's gonna not can't really compare it to a Note 4 with an 801, so we just have to go by what it does.
Exactly.
So I'm definitely more intrigued by the Note Edge than I am by the Note 4. The Note 4 is great, and if that's the device that you were looking forward to, go pick one up. You'll be happy with it. With a 2K display and the Snapdragon 805, 3 gigs of RAM, it's top of the line. It's the best of what you're going to get spec wise. And if you like Samsung and what they're doing software wise, get it. That's all you. The Note Edge is interesting to me just because it's different. Because it's something different. But those were the two big things from Samsung. What else am I missing from Samsung? Anything that they announced?
They talked about the Gear VR and the Gear S. So The Gear
Right.
S, yeah, the Gear S is their newest Gear smartwatch, which is basically a smartphone as well. It packs in a 3G modem. I don't remember what size battery. Did you guys see if it has? I'm assuming it has a much
It's
bigger battery.
no, it's like the same size as the Gear Live and the Gear 2.
Yes,
So
it's
400 milliamp or 420 milliamp hours.
Actually, it's 10 milliamps bigger. It's 400 versus 410 in the Gear S. So it's not like it's gonna make a big difference, but because I think we
yeah.
talked about it last week, didn't we? I think the
We
before that, actually.
we did talk about it a little bit last week, but um,
Yeah.
because it's pretty ridiculous that it's got a SIM card slot in it. You can
Yeah.
use it to replace your phone. We were trying to figure that one out.
I think it's
Yeah.
probably just intended to replace it in certain situations. So, like I think in their video they showed some guy on like a Tour de France type of thing. He's out biking the country. You don't necessarily want to be using your phone when you're on a bike like that. So, he's using his watch, and then you're not going to be sitting there, having a marathon talking session while you're riding your bike either. So, I guess it kind of makes sense in that scenario.
Yeah, I think it's designed for specific um, circumstances. Like me, I barely use a smartwatch anyway, so the Gear S isn't gonna, you know, really do much for me. I'll
Yeah,
still be
it's
taking my phone to do a lot of stuff.
it's a niche product because it's probably going to be way more expensive than any smartwatches out there and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they released prices yet.
Yeah, and Bert's asking about the SIM card if it's just for data and stuff. It's for anything. It's got voice data. It's literally a phone on your wrist. The only difference is that since it's got the smaller battery, there's no way you're going to be able to use it.
Yep, and that means carriers can charge you for a separate line, like another phone line, instead of just another like tablet or connected device. So
Carriers
that's
are
more
going
money
to
in their
eat.
pocket.
Yes, dude. Carriers are going to eat this up
And
because it's an
also like
added
one or
phone.
two.
Bert, you wouldn't be able to. So Bert had another question here. How does it replace the phone as far as voice calling? He's asking, how do you keep one number on both? You wouldn't. You'd have to switch your SIM card from your phone into your watch and back again.
Yep. It
So,
does do Wi-Fi, so if you do have your phone, I think it does Bluetooth as well. So if you do have your phone, you can still make calls with your phone number through that, but you have to have your phone like within a certain distance, obviously.
yep, yep. So yeah, the standalone 3G voice and data portion of the Gear S is going to have its own phone number. If unless you want to switch your SIM card back and forth, which there might be scenarios where you want to do that. Like the demo that they showed, if you're on your bike or if you're, somehow working out, something like that, and you want to, switch your SIM card out just for those specific situations, that's great. Um, but again, it's going to be pretty niche. I also think that the Gear VR is. I'm curious about that too. I'm not really big into. Um, Not really big into virtual reality, but I haven't really checked these out either. It is built, and they actually built it in with help from Oculus. So it's like the Oculus VR, not as powerful because it's mobile, runs off the phone instead of like basically desktop level hardware. But what do you guys think about the Gear VR?
I was really excited about it simply because I've been excited about Oculus Rift for a long time, and I kind of feel like this is going to be the way we get this thing in actual production. So
Yeah.
you can I think you could buy an Oculus Rift. I don't know how expensive it is, but I don't think it's like you go into Best Buy and pick one up or whatever. Whereas this thing, this is literally John Carmack was on the team. All the people that were part of Oculus are on this team. It uses a Note 4 as its display. I mean, it's a full retail product.
And it has Temple Run.
It has what?
Temple Run, the
Oh
game.
yes. Well, I'll buy it just for that, right?
I don't know what other games it had because I missed a lot of that stuff.
And see, and what you brought up, Jeremiah, will be interesting because one of the big things about Oculus Rift was that it connects to your PC, your gaming PC specifically, and basically lets you jump into these gaming worlds, and enjoy them in a completely different way, and enjoy the graphical fidelity that a PC will give you. Whereas, now it's running off of a Note 4, which, a Note 4 is powerful, but it's not a gaming PC.
This seemed like just a little bit of a step up from Google Cardboard.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what it is.
Right, right. And I read an article earlier today, kind of explaining the differences between this and Google Cardboard. But what it boiled down to is this is powered and really kind of built around the Note 4, whereas Google Cardboard, you just put whatever phone into it. But at the end of the day, like it's not a huge difference. Just this is more tweaked and gonna work a little bit better.
Yeah, I think what Carmack, and if you guys don't know who Carmack is, this is the guy behind Doom and Quake and a lot of, I guess, heritage PC games. He's a big, huge 3D programmer. So what he was laying out in his presentation was that Samsung has basically given the programmers direct access to the hardware. So I guess I'm not even sure if they're running Android on this thing or if it's some other kind of OS. I don't think they really got into that too much, but it seemed like they were specifically creating a different ecosystem for this product. So it's not necessarily that you're going to go on the Play Store and download something and then play it on this thing. Maybe it does. I haven't seen that specifically. It seemed more to me like it was its own thing.
I haven't seen that anywhere. Any information about the firmware or what OS it's running. I assumed it was Android because it's built off a Note 4.
Yeah, they were really kind of cryptic about it. I know in the presentation they kind of, I don't know if they purposefully dodged some things or if they just didn't feel like covering it because it's not a final device yet.
Well, and I do know that they, the Oculus team, when they got a hold of it, really kind of had to rip it apart. So it's basically a Note 4, but it's not a stock Note 4 built into the hardware.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's definitely been optimized.
There's a lot of potential for this though, so I'm really looking forward to seeing, now that it's been announced as an actual platform, what's going to come of it, if we're going to start getting some real stuff out of it or not, or if it's just going to go the way of the Virtual Boy.
That's always what it comes back to. But let's be honest, Virtual Boy was pretty horrible.
Virtual Boy sucked.
Yep.
There's no mincing words. It was garbage. Even for the time, it was garbage.
Yeah, yeah.
And Oculus is sweet if you've ever been able to use one. So there's a lot of potential here.
I haven't, but I think that I think that this is really going to help pick things up. So for the platform.
Yeah, for sure.
It's exciting. That is exciting. So we had those 4 things from Samsung.
Yep, that was their stuff.
The Note 4, the Note Edge, the Gear S, and the Gear VR. And then from Sony, we saw the Z3, the Z3 Compact, the Z3 Tablet Compact, and then some other stuff too. We saw a new Walkman, Bluetooth, Sony, Walkman branded Bluetooth headset, as well as the Smartband Talk, which was kind of interesting because you can use that as your phone as well. And Sony's, the Smartband actually seems kind of cool. But let's jump into the phone stuff first. So the Z3.
It's the Z2.
Essentially, yes. It's the Z2.
It's the Z2 with a more ergonomic body and much smaller bezels.
About time.
Which is an improvement.
No, that's a big improvement.
That is like a huge improvement. That's like Samsung creating like the HTC One or something.
I was gonna say that's like Samsung not having a physical home button.
That too.
Yeah, right. Are you kidding?
Because Sony has had the same design since I can remember, and for them to actually, update it even a little bit is a big deal.
Yeah, it's good to finally see that.
A lot of people thought the big bezels were because it's waterproof, but they were there before it was waterproof.
And the
Yeah, I think
Z3
it
is
was
still
just a
waterproof
design
and doesn't
language
have
thing.
the. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely a design language. Because the Z3 is still waterproof,
Yeah.
but doesn't have the giant bezels. I actually like the look of the Z3 quite a bit.
And
Yeah,
it's coming to T-Mobile.
and I was really impressed. I actually like the copper one. I didn't think that was possible. I thought all those gold phones and all that crap just looked friggin' horrible. But the copper Z3 actually looks really good.
I
It
heard a
does.
lot of people say that they like the gold G3, and I was surprised at that. And I'm also surprised that people were saying that they like the copper slash gold
I have heard,
Z3.
yeah, I have heard the gold G3 is nice, but I haven't seen one, so
Well, it's a Sprint exclusive, so
no wonder.
Chris had one for a while. I think he said he liked it.
And the Z3 is not, again, same thing we were expecting. Snapdragon 801, 3 gigs of RAM, 16 or 32 gigs of storage. I think I read, and I've read conflicting stories on this, whether or not it had a micro SD card slot for expandable storage. There doesn't seem to be a general consensus on whether it does or not. But either way, 20 megapixel Sony sensor, so it's the same camera. Still records in 4K, 3100 milliamp hour battery. So it is. It's basically the Z2 with an updated shell.
Yep.
Which is a good
I
thing.
really wish they would go to one flagship a year and maybe like a new Z Ultra. Flagship.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Phablet in the end, because they're doing it every 6 months. It's not like it's not much of an upgrade. And by the time the phone gets here, the next one is on its way already, because there's always a delay, or if you're in the U.S., it just takes that long anyways.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest problem is they're pushing them out way too quick. I don't know what their weird schedule is. It's just very strange because they're not quick about getting them to market. And then, like you said, yeah, it's like by the time they announce the new one, the old one's only actually been out for 2 or 3 months. It's definitely a weird way of doing things.
And, you're going to overpay a little bit for it, too, because it's a Sony brand.
Yeah, I think at this point it seems like you should just wait 6 months for when they announce the new one, and then just pick up the old one for half the price.
Right. Especially
it's the same as the new one, basically, maybe with just a few less enhancements, I guess.
Yeah, the internals are all the same. So, yeah, I really do like it. But
no, it's a great phone. Don't get me wrong. Their release schedule just weird.
Yep, I agree. And hopefully they do. They get on a yearly cycle.
Yeah, and hopefully they release a Z Ultra that doesn't have huge bezels too, because that would be sweet.
We're trending in the right direction.
Yes.
We also saw the Z3 Compact, which Sony is the only one who's doing this correctly.
Yeah.
The Z3 Compact is a 4.6-inch phone. The display is only 720p instead of 1080, but it still has the Snapdragon 801 in it. Still has a 20 megapixel sensor that we've come to know and love out of these Z phones. 2600 milliamp hour battery, but with a smaller screen at only 720, that's plenty.
Yeah, because you have bigger phones like the Nexus 5 with a smaller battery.
Yep. So I like the Z3 Compact too.
Yeah, the Compact is a win.
Yeah, especially since it has the same high-end specs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job, Sony. Now just bring them to the U.S.
Please.
Release them on T-Mobile within a month or so of announcing them.
More or less.
The Z3 Tablet Compact is, again, similar specs. Snapdragon 801. It's got 3 gigs of RAM and a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. It's an 8-inch tablet in the Xperia Z line. Out of the three, I am most excited about this tablet. Again, you might overpay a little bit for it, but this is a good looking tablet. I'm pretty excited about it. You guys don't seem to care that much, but that's okay.
I'm excited about that tablet, just not the name of the tablet. It's too long.
The name is fairly horrible. I'm just not a tablet guy, so sorry.
I like the Z2 tablet, the 10-inch one. I just wanted it a bit smaller. Obviously, I wanted smaller bezels too, but I mean that tablet was so thin and light. It was just amazing. And then it was also waterproof, so you didn't expect that from a tablet that was, that thin and light. And Sony's software is awesome anyway, so put in an 8-inch form factor and put it under $400, and they're probably going to sell a ton.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to call this a tablet compact. Just call it the Xperia Z3 tablet and release it in 2 different sizes. It's not going to confuse anybody. You just have an 8-inch and a 10-inch option.
Yeah.
Drop the compact off it because that's just weird. It makes it sound like it's like a 6.5-inch tablet.
Yeah, I'm not really. The name is very bizarre. Whatever.
Well, their normal tablet names are kind of weird anyways. Xperia Z2 tablet. Still too long for me.
Yep.
It's
But
kind of
it's
confusing too, because you have the Z2, then the Z2 tablet, and it's like, oh, they came out together, but still.
So other stuff from Sony at IFA was the Smart Band Talk. Let's see, the Smart Band Talk and the Smartwatch 3. So I don't think I mentioned that earlier either.
Yeah, the Smartwatch
that
3
one
is pretty
runs-
surprising.
Yeah, because it runs Android Wear, and they said they weren't going to do Android Wear.
Yep.
Yeah. They
Yep.
just said that they weren't going to do Android Wear. What was it, 2 months ago?
They
When
said
Android Wear was
basically
announced.
the day it was announced, they said no
Embarrassing.
for them.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, come on. Why even release a statement like that? Even if you're considering looking into it, just don't do that.
Well, at the time they probably
Yep.
weren't considering looking into it, but then they said, "Oh crap, we better do this."
Basically, they said that they spent so much time in their own ecosystem for the smartwatch and the smartwatch 2 that they didn't want to abandon that and go to Android Wear. Which I understand that because Pebble saying the same thing, but they'll probably do it too. Although they can't do it with e-ink. So.
Yep.
I don't know.
So the Smartwatch 3 is running Android Wear. It looks like the Samsung, the Gear Live with Android
Yeah.
Wear.
It's
To
kind of like
me.
a cross between the Gear Live and the original Galaxy Gear because it doesn't feature interchangeable bands. It's just one big rubbery, strap that goes around the whole thing,
Right. Yeah, that's all you get out of it.
which is unfortunate because there's nothing in the strap itself that requires it to be, part of the whole unit. I don't know. It's another Android Wear watch, which is good. That's great. It gives more choice in the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit bigger battery, 420 milliamp hour battery. Should get you through 2 days.
Yep, that's very good. That's a really good thing because a lot of these, friggin' Gear Live has a 300 milliamp battery.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem getting through a full day, but it's definitely not enough if you're using it for some things, especially if you're using it for outdoor activities and stuff.
Yeah, if you're just using it for like notifications and stuff, it'll be fine because mine can last like a day and I'll still have like 30% or so left on my G Watch.
Yep.
It's got the same IP68 waterproof rating that their phones do. So that's also a step up. And it's probably going to cost, I think, 229 euros. So it's going to be like $199 here in the U.S.
Yep, and it'll be right the same price as the Gear Live.
Yep.
Which is surprising. Well, that part's not surprising, but the surprising part is over in the UK, the G Watch is cheaper than the Gear Live, but here's the opposite.
Right, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, because Tom and I talk about that all the time. It's like, doesn't make any sense.
Nope. But, I'm not really sold 100% on the look of the Smartwatch 3, but I'm glad Sony's in the Android Wear game.
What about that Susan watch?
Yeah, so we'll get to that in just a sec, because I actually do like it. It looks really good.
Yep.
But
I didn't see it
before
on
we
the agenda.
Oh no, it's there, man.
It's on the
It's
top.
on. Yeah, I got. Oh, it's in the first. So in the agenda, the Asus Zen Watch is in the IFA Day
Oh
One wrap
yes,
up.
yeah, it's in my wrap up post.
So the before we get into that, I want to just briefly mention this Sony Smart Band Talk. So it's a like a sports band with an e-ink display, but you can make phone calls on it. So it's got calling capabilities built into it. So just something new. It's probably going to be pretty cheap, um, and that it's pretty interesting. 160 euros, so it's probably going to be like 120, $130 here in the U.S.
It would have to be because if it's 150, I don't know why you'd buy that over the Smartwatch 3. It's only maybe $50 more.
Right, right. Well, and maybe you want something more sports
Yeah,
related or a little more rugged. Um, but wearables are fun. And Sony announced a new one. So the Zen Watch. Oh, buddy, this thing looks really good, man.
bezels for
Um,
days.
it does have a lot of bezel. It is
I like how they
rectangular,
like
not round.
blended the. I like how they blended like the screen into the bezel so it doesn't look like it. There's a lot of bezel.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of just a square face, it's got kind of a black bezel around the outside of the square face, and then a silver bezel around that, like a brushed metal looking bezel, and the whole thing kind of blends together. I've heard people complain that these don't necessarily look like real watches. This one kind of does. It's got a nice looking leather band on it. I was surprised by this because we heard that Asus was going to be coming out with um, a cheaper watch.
Yep.
One that was going to be more like the G Watch and less like the Moto 360. This one looks pretty good.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it too, especially from Asus, who, at least in the mobile world, tends to make pretty cheap stuff. Um, and I like you said, I really like the design, and I think in this case the bezels actually look good. They don't hurt the design at all, and it fits in really well with the name. Like the rest, they have a lot of stuff in their Zen phones and whatever line, but this
Yep.
one actually looks like a little pebble that would go in a Zen garden or something. Like it seems to actually fit the name.
Right.
It's just good design. I don't know. I love the way it looks.
Yep.
I mean, I would buy it in a heartbeat over any of the other ones because I like the square design. I don't really like the round watches, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
best
haven't
of
been a
all.
big I haven't been a big fan of the round watches either.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with them being square or rectangular. Like it's not a it's not an actual watch, and it doesn't have to look like one. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like I don't really want my smartwatch to look exactly like every other watch out there because that's kind of the point. It's not like every other watch out there.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. Whatever. More power to you if you like the round ones, but this one is pretty sweet for me.
Yep. This the Zen Watch has a Snapdragon 400 processor in it.
Yeah, pretty much
512.
every Android Wear watch has the 400 in there now.
Yep. It's pretty standard. 512 megs of RAM, 4 gigs of storage. So right across the line, spec-wise, they're all about the same. But it's coming down to design, and I
Yeah.
think Asus nailed this one.
And I really like that the market for Android Wear is turning out like this because it's all about design. It almost does not matter about anything else. I mean, I think the only differences you have in some of them, I think the Moto 360 is supposed to have a heart rate sensor. I don't know if we've seen that confirmed or not yet. I think it was supposed to have wireless charging. I don't know if we've seen that confirmed or not yet. And then of course the Gear Live also has the heart rate sensor. But other than the handful of features like that, they're pretty much all the same. They just look different, which is awesome. So
Zen
you don't have to worry
watches.
about skimping on, oh, I'm not going to get this thing or not.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and the software is all the same because it's all controlled by Google, and they've got big plans for Android Wear as well, and we're about to see it with
Yes.
Android L.
Yep. The Zen watch is priced at 199 euros. So, like 250 bucks, $260, something like that. So, not this one's going to be priced more like the Moto 360, we think. But
Yeah, because their CEO said they're gonna come in at 200, but they didn't say 200 US dollars, 200 euros, or what. We should have known it'd be euros since they're announcing it at IFA.
I swore there was actually an article that I wrote like a week or two ago on this thing, and I swore the guy said under 200 bucks. Let me look it up, and we'll.
I think what he
Come back to
actually
it.
said was just under 200. Everybody assumed 200 US dollars
Yeah, maybe.
because
I'm
it
pretty
came
sure.
from, I think, a Taiwan blog. 'Cause it came out of their home, which I think is Taiwan.
I am pretty sure, Nick, that you are correct, because that's where I got the idea that it was going to be a cheaper watch like the G Watch and not
Yeah.
something more upscale.
I
I
actually
even-
thought I heard him say like around 99 to 149 before.
And that falls in line with early rumors, so that, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll come out with another one that's cheaper, and this is their nice one they wanted to come out with first.
Even if it is 199 euros, it could still be $199 US. I
That's
think we've
true.
seen that before too, especially on Google Play.
Yep, that is true.
Because we're just doing the conversion, on Google, how many euros is a dollar, etc. to get that 260.
Yeah, if the $199 thing was a screw up, it was a screw up on the original source's part, and they still haven't changed it. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, they've already announced your pricing, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So Bert's asking how fast are the OK Google responses on the smartwatches? They're pretty quick. Yep, they are pretty quick.
Yeah,
Now,
it's
on my G Watch, it's almost instant.
the original Galaxy Gear was slow with that stuff. Trying to do any S voice stuff took a while.
Well, that's because of S Voice.
Yeah, I no comment on the platform, but the Android Wear watches are very quick. I mean, you ask it a question, or even voice dictation. Like when I'm driving, I basically hold it on the wheel, I look at it, and I say, respond to it or whatever, and it pretty much follows me as I'm talking. It might be a little bit behind, but it's right on point.
And that Snapdragon 400 is pretty powerful for that device. I mean, we've got smartphones that are running on the Snapdragon 400, so to have it in a watch with a tiny screen, it's plenty powerful.
Like the HTC One Mini 2 has a Snapdragon 400, and that processor is really a beast. I've used a lot of phones with that processor. I'm really surprised at how good it is.
Pretty much every entry level and mid-range phone that's been announced in like the last year has a Snapdragon 400 in it. I mean, there were plenty of phones at IFA that were announced with that thing in it.
Yeah, IFA last year. Never mind this year.
Well, yeah, that's true too. It's just it's probably one of the best chips they ever made. It's just a really versatile chip.
Yep.
So that's exciting. We also saw some new stuff from Huawei. So we've recently been talking about Sapphire displays, and Huawei announced the Ascend P7 Sapphire Edition is what they're calling it. So it's got a sapphire glass screen. I saw a really interesting video this week. iFixit, I think, tore down the Brigadier.
Yep.
That heavy-duty phone, Alex, that you reviewed a couple weeks ago. They pulled the screen out, and it cracked, like dropped it on its face, just the glass, and it cracked almost immediately. So the issue with sapphire glass is that it's brittle. It doesn't scratch very easily, but the Brigadier is perfect for it because there's a lot of padding and plastic, and it's built to be tough around the screen. So
yeah, there's like a big ridge all around the screen that's like plastic. So when you drop it, the screen isn't really hitting the ground at all. But when you scratch it up, it is, which is what I did, and the scratch is just wiped away.
Yep. So, but that's why we're not seeing sapphire in devices like the G2 and the G3 that have very tiny bezels, because the first time you drop that thing, the glass would actually shatter.
Well,
just because sapphire is so brittle.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that's the case. Because I watched that video too, and they didn't drop a Gorilla Glass in that video, I don't think, unless it was like the last 5 seconds. Did they?
I didn't see him drop a Gorilla Glass screen
'Cause
face
I'm
down
wondering
like
about that
that.
too, if it's really any different. Or
It's supposed to
if
be.
maybe their point in doing that was just to say, okay, well, in this particular case, it doesn't make a difference. But,
Yeah.
I guess, okay, so they just dropped the screen with the glass on it. There was nothing else to absorb the shock. So maybe when it's in the phone, I don't know, like I'm thinking, all right, supposedly next week when Apple shows off the iPhone 6, it's supposed to have a sapphire screen on it with considerably smaller bezels. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, they're not going to build a lip around the edge. It just doesn't really fit in with their design stuff. So I'm imagining, you know, hundreds of thousands of broken iPhone 6s in the next couple of months. People screaming about how Sapphire sucks and all this stuff, if that's the case.
Yeah, but when you say Apple is going to have smaller bezels, that doesn't really mean much because their bezels are as big as Sony's. It's not
They're
bigger.
bigger than Sony's.
Because like that
That's
bottom
true.
chin with the home button, that is like the size of the entire phone almost.
Yeah, that crap's
4-inch
pretty
display.
But still, point still stands. It's not in a device like the Brigadier where it's got those,
Yeah.
pretty sizable raised bezels on the side of it.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
The Brigadier is actually like a big phone. It's really fat too. It's probably like the size of like two G2 or G3s, back
Yeah.
to back. But
And
it
the
has
rest
like
of
a
the phone-
3100 milliamp battery, and like a 4.5-inch display, so battery lasts forever.
Yep. Well, and we'll see with the P7 having sapphire and the sapphire display, and then the iPhone 6. I'm sure that they found, Apple found some way to work around it. So that'll
Hopefully
be-
for them.
yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe we'll have another antenna gate, just like screens breaking all over the place.
For real.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong.
Yep, you're dropping it wrong.
Yep.
Huawei
Or
also
just
announced.
you're dropping it.
Right, just announced it, just dropping it, period. Huawei also announced the Ascend Mate 7. So this is a 6-inch full HD display. This device, has a 6-inch display, full HD, so 1080p, 368 PPI. It's got Huawei's Kirin 925 chipset in it, 2 gigs of RAM, with 16 gigs of storage, or 3 gigs of RAM with 32 gigs of storage.
Yeah, and the 3 gigs of RAM one is only available in gold. The other two are black and white, or the 16 gig, the 2 gigs of RAM is in black and white.
So they color coded them based on storage.
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially.
If you want 3 gigs of RAM, you gotta go for gold, unfortunately.
Which I'm not as concerned about 3 gigs of RAM, but 16 gigs
Yeah.
of storage is not enough for me. I need at least 32.
Does it have an SD card slot? I don't remember.
I'm looking now. I don't see any mention of it.
I know I wrote it up early this morning, but it's been a rough day.
Yeah, I don't see any mention of it. And I don't see a SD card slot that's noticeable on either of the sides. Doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that we don't have it mentioned.
Yeah, I don't think they... Because if they had it in the specs, I would have put it in there. So I don't think it does have one.
This
I can't
phone
remember
looks
if
a
it-
lot like a big M7.
No, it looks like the One Max.
Yes, exactly. Yep, exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's perfect. It's even got the little thing on the back too.
Yeah, the fingerprint reader,
Yep.
which I thought was retarded on the One Max, because when you pick it up and you're trying to use the fingerprint reader, you're always touching the camera because it's right there. And I don't want to touch the camera and get the fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But theirs, it looks like you actually press it instead of like swiping down.
That's smart because the
So it's
swiping
kinda like
ones
Apple's.
suck.
Yeah, so it looks like it's like Apple's.
Which
That's
means
good.
it could actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the working chances are much higher.
Yep. The thing about the Mate 7 that I thought was confusing is that it's the Ascend Mate 7, but it has a 6-inch display. Why not just call it the Ascend Mate 3? Because the 1 and 2 had a 6-inch display as well.
Yeah, who knows?
You'd think
I
it would have a 7-inch display, because when it first leaked out, that's what I thought.
I thought it was a tablet because of the 7. I thought it was
I knew
a
it wasn't a
7-inch tablet.
tablet. I knew it wasn't a tablet because of Huawei. That's just how they do things.
Hey, you know what? Why'd they call it the Xbox One? Sometimes these names just suck.
That's
Well,
true.
That's because it's Microsoft. That's why.
Because it's Huawei. Because it's
Yeah,
Microsoft.
I don't know, man. It's terrible name again. That's twice tonight.
That's all right. We'll let it slide.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll let it slide.
For now.
For now. So we also saw LG announce or showcase, I guess, not really announce, a whole bunch of smart home stuff. They're calling them social appliances, which is not what I want to think of when I think about the Internet of Things.
No.
What I want to think about is being able to scan a barcode on the side of my refrigerator for milk, and that adds it to my grocery list, which then syncs to my phone or some other device. Maybe automatically orders it from a grocery delivery service, or like I said, right, or at the very least syncs it to my device, so I have that list always with me, so I know. I don't really care about my refrigerator tweeting or posting to Facebook about how I ran out of milk. So I'm not sure how social appliances are going to actually work.
If Twitter says that Jeremiah ran out of milk, I'm gonna retweet that.
You better retweet the heck out of that. But LG's showcasing a whole bunch of stuff at IFA, and a bunch of other companies are as well. But LG specifically has a big showcase of TVs, refrigerators, washer and dryer, microwave, speakers, like wireless speaker setups, and monitors, the whole nine. So pretty cool. I know, Nick, you are currently reviewing a kind of slimmed down home networking setup from Arcos.
Yep.
This kind of home automation and home connectedness is something that you're enjoying?
Yeah, this is really, really cool stuff, and this is something that I've wanted for years. I remember back when I was looking into actually buying a house, I wanted to try to get into this stuff, and it was too expensive. It was too hard to find what works with what and all that stuff. And now it's good to see companies like LG and Samsung and even smaller companies like Arcos getting into this stuff and making it a heck of a lot easier. Because like with the Arcos thing, you go out and you buy a kit, and it comes with a little tablet that runs all your stuff, and everything connects together, and it's really easy to use. So I think with the social stuff, I would agree with you there. I don't know about that. I don't like Facebook anyway, so I don't have one. And I'd rather my appliances not have one either. So I'm not thrilled there. But having control of this stuff, remotely is awesome. Being able to, turn your AC down before you get home and just do things like that remotely is great. It helps save energy. It helps save time. Makes your house more comfortable. Whatever. I mean, I'm all in for stuff like that.
And one of the things that LG, there are basically three different categories of things that LG was showing off. One is something called Supreme Trust, which is home monitoring, which is a lot of the Arcos setup that you're demoing right now or that you're reviewing right now.
Exactly.
For security and monitoring of what's going on at your house. Then there's something called Thrilling Burst. It's one of they're calling them themes. So Supreme Trust, the Supreme Trust theme, the Thrilling Burst theme, which is entertainment. It's like your sound, hi-fi sound bar, your smart TVs. Of course, with LG, they're running WebOS. And then there's something called Eminent Conversation, which is LG's home chat software. So it's one-touch commands for turning on your vacuum cleaner, if you've got like a Roomba or some kind of automatic, robot vacuum cleaner. Um, so interesting stuff. There's a lot of different um, those themes is just it's something different, a different kind of twist on it. But
Yeah, and then speaking of LG too, they also showed off their G Watch R, right?
yes, yes. So let's talk about that a little bit. The G Watch R, we saw that leak out, and then like the next day, LG went ahead and made it official.
And then like 5 minutes later, Samsung announced the Gear S.
Yep, Samsung didn't want to be left out.
And the thing is that the date on their press release was for the next day, so they did that on purpose.
They pushed it out early because
I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch it either. I was watching, I think it was Andre Central's podcast last week, and they were talking about. I was like, I didn't even notice that.
Yes. Well, you kind of breeze past that usually. I don't look at the date in the press release. I'm just like, oh, press release. Skip the date. Who cares about that crap? I know it's today.
Obviously, they didn't
also-
double check the date before they released it.
Yeah.
Technically, it was 2 days later because it was already the next day in Korea. Yeah, because that's where it came from.
Nice.
Right. No, that's correct. But so the G Watch R, we're assuming that the R stands for round, is a round watch. It looks like a Casio watch that you'd pick up at Target or wherever. It just looks like a regular watch. I kind of like the look of it. It's definitely not. It doesn't have any kind of like brushed aluminum. It doesn't look high end like the Moto 360 or the Asus Zen watch.
It's just round.
Right, it's just round. Just
Yeah,
looks like a regular old watch that's round. But
It's like a sport watch, basically.
Yep.
Now, the thing that I'm confused about that I still have not seen clarification beyond that one video that nobody else but me apparently has seen.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think I do either at this point. But I thought that little dial thing on the outside was in the display, and the video I thought I saw showed how like the outer 5% shows the time all the time, and the inner like 95% of the display is the rest of Android Wear. So I don't know if we've seen clarification on that or if I'm just hallucinating.
Right, both.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I'll blame it on Daddy Brain.
Right. That's fair.
And
That's
that usually
fair.
works for me, so
And yeah, I remember you mentioning that. The outside display deal just looks like a diver's watch, like this. You can kind of spin that.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll know more when LG actually releases the thing. So I don't know whether it's necessarily better than the 360. It's round, and it doesn't appear to have like the 360 looks like it has that space on the bottom that's not used for anything.
Oh, it is actually used for stuff. At Google I/O, they were saying that it's used for drivers.
Right. But the 360 just kind of looked like that. The G Watch R doesn't
It's
even
kind
look
of
like
like with HTC's devices. You got like the bar down there that's actually houses the drivers for boom sound. Everybody thought it was just there, just for a logo, especially for Verizon. But no, that's where all the drivers are for or at.
that. Right. But the G Watch R doesn't look to have looks like it doesn't look like it has that empty space.
Yeah, it's because the bezels are bigger on the G Watch R.
So that's where they're housing the extra stuff. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's necessarily better. It's probably going to be less expensive because it is essentially internally it's identical to the G Watch.
It'll probably be the same. Actually, we did see it leak out, and it's supposed to be like around $300.
Which would put it right in line with what we've heard about the Moto 360.
Yep. And that would be about $80 more than the G Watch.
Yep.
Well, right now it is.
Yeah. So that's what else did we miss at IFA 2014 so far? Anything?
I don't know. I wasn't there for a lot of it.
I think that's about it, to be honest with you. I can't think of anything big that we missed.
That's all. Yeah, that's all the big stuff, and some of the other little stuff too. That was interesting to me.
That's all the interesting stuff. So.
If we missed something, sorry. Send us a note. We'll talk about it next week because there's still.
Or just go to androidheadlines.com and read every story that's there.
Right, because I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that happened that we just didn't talk
We
about.
posted probably about 160 articles in the last 2 days. So
Yep.
go read it all.
It's been a busy time.
Oh yeah.
So as we kind of switch gears, I don't know how much there is to talk about, because most of it is we can't talk about it yet. But Alex, you were in Chicago for a Motorola event.
Oh, I still am. That's why you hear sirens.
Yes, no,
Well, I don't know if people can hear it, but
you are currently in Chicago, broadcasting live from your hotel room, man. We appreciate you dialing in.
I can see lag too, so thank you Verizon for that lag. Even though I get like 70 megs down on Verizon here.
And like 30 or 40 megs up, right?
Yeah, that's what I got last night at about this time.
That's probably net neutrality at its finest, or rather move the lack of.
Yeah. Every once in a while I can see like when my hand moves, it actually moves on camera like 5 seconds later.
Yeah, your voice sounds fine, but the video is a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
But, that's all right. We appreciate you jumping on, man. So what can you tell us about this event? It wasn't like one particular press event. They took you on a tour of the city and did all kinds of stuff.
Well, Motorola said that everything will be revealed at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Central, so you'll find out in a few hours. They posted that on Twitter, so that's not me violating anything.
That's the most frustrating part, man, is because we got a whole bunch of stuff we can talk about tomorrow.
It's weird because I've never seen a company like posting an embargo time like that.
Yep.
Like usually you can't even say that. So.
Right. Well,
really
put that time down for an embargo, and then go out and tweet about it and say, "Hey, everyone can talk about this stuff at in the middle of the night."
Like here's their tweet from about 10 hours ago. It's almost time starting at 1 a.m. Central, September 5th. Check back here as we start unveiling the new portfolio of Moto products, and then join them at 1:30 p.m. Central on the 5th for their first look live Q&A. So they're doing a hangout tomorrow, and you can send in questions with the hashtag AskMoto.
So we have seen some rumors and leaks about this come out. None of this is confirmed.
Some people didn't honor the embargoes.
Hey,
I did.
Yep. And we're not going to go into details about stuff, but
because if you notice, I wasn't the one that wrote them.
Right. 1 a.m. Central is 2 a.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
We'll have all this stuff up as soon as we can. So pay attention to the site tonight, early tomorrow morning. A whole bunch of awesome stuff coming from Motorola. I'm really excited. I like Motorola. I'm excited about what they're doing.
There'll be a lot more stuff rolling out throughout the day instead of just pushing out. Because when we do a new device, we break it down and everything, so we have a lot of articles. So we're not doing it all at once. We're gonna do like big stuff and roll out some of the smaller stuff like the features. Probably over the weekend.
It's gonna be an amazing Friday. That's all I gotta say. So get a good night's sleep, wake up and have a nice cup of coffee, and then pretty much have a nice Motorola Friday.
Yep. Ruben had a question about this too. He's asking, what do you think is the logic behind Motorola's 2-day presentation?
Well, I know it, but I'm gonna say ask me in 5 hours, 3 hours.
It's so frustrating. Yep. So Ruben, there is a reason behind it. It's not just a random thing that Motorola's doing. Part of it, is just to spread out the press, and you have more of the news cycle. IFA 2014 is, the big thing right now. All this stuff from Samsung and Sony. Motorola wanted to make sure they could get people's attention also.
Yep.
So that's part of it, just so they can stay on top of the news.
We're still rolling out Samsung stuff. Like they announced some smart printers or something today.
Yep.
I didn't even read it until like an hour ago. And they just don't want to get caught up in that. They want the spotlight on them, which makes perfect sense to me.
Sure.
That's what we say about every manufacturer and why they need to have their own event instead of just having a press conference at like IFA or CES. Even though Samsung can do it, they still have their own event because they don't do it actually at IFA. They do it like off-site. And Sony does now, or this year they did, because they had Samsung's old spot.
Yep. So that's Motorola. That's exciting. It's going to be even more exciting as we are able to talk about some of the stuff and get all that up on the site. So
I just can't wait. I want to talk about that stuff so bad.
Well, some of it we've seen leak online. So the Moto 360 leaked out. Just some pictures, not a lot of detail. Pictures.
Well, the Moto 360 leak is like leaking out the LG G3 now.
Right.
I mean, we've seen the thing at I/O already.
Right.
Justin was there and he played with it and all that good stuff. And I mean, there's nothing else really to know about it.
I think some of these photos had the watch charging on the wireless charger, if I'm not mistaken.
So I don't know.
So it just confirms that. We also saw them this week, the Moto G leak, like a retail package for the Moto G leak. Just confirmed all the rumors, Snapdragon 400 processor and the 5-inch display and everything. So
yeah, that box is leaked out like 3 days this week.
Yep.
And that in 2 days before I came to Chicago. So
yeah, so we know new Moto G's coming too. What else? I think that's it for Motorola right now. 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central. What's that? Midnight Mountain Time and 11 p.m. Pacific.
Yep.
If we're going across the country, all this stuff will be up, man. Super excited.
And if you're in the UK, that's like what, 6 a.m.
Yep.
No, 7 a.m.
I'd have to ask Tom, man. I don't remember exactly.
The thing is, I'm in Chicago on Central Time right now, and I keep thinking I'm in Eastern. I'm used to just adding 5. I gotta add 6 for now.
Yeah, from Chicago. Yep. In all of this, Galaxy Note 4 and Sony Z3 talk, OnePlus decided they did not want to get lost in the shuffle. So they have announced a new contest called the Flagship Battle Giveaway. They're giving away a device, the OnePlus One, as well as, I think, 100 invites. The only reason I mentioned this is because this is actually a decent giveaway, one that kind of makes sense and isn't crazy. So maybe.
Do you need an invite to get into the contest?
No,
yeah,
but they're still giving. Yeah.
I'm actually proud of them this time because they are actually giving away the phone, aren't they? It's not just an invite.
One device.
My first comment was when I heard about it, was like they actually have one to give away. I mean, because they're still doing invites until what, October? I think that came out this week too. That they're switching over to regular orders in October.
Yep, it's only about 2 months too late.
More than that. It was announced, what, in April?
If they would have flipped the switch August 1st and gone to regular orders, they'd have been fine, I think.
Yep.
But
they should have just stayed out of invites altogether.
I agree. Yep, I agree. Some other Google news. Google is apparently replacing broken Nexus devices. So if you got a Nexus 5 and you happen to break the screen or something.
It's US only, according to Tom, because he couldn't do it.
Did he break his?
No, he was gonna break it and then send it in to get a new one, but it's U.S. only.
Well, we appreciate you trying, Tom. But they'll replace your Nexus 5 for free one time if you break it.
Yep.
So, kind of cool. And then we also heard rumors of Android Wear 2.0 being launched in the middle of October, October 15th specifically, which might coincide with Android L.
It will.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they would put out a big version of Android Wear like that without Android L, because that's what we're waiting for, really.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense at all. And I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this too.
I'm surprised it's called Android 2.0 or Android Wear 2.0 because right now it's was it Android 4.4.4W is what it's running.
Yep.
So I thought it would just be Android Wear, not 2.0, but that might be the internal name.
Might be internal. It might be just kind of what's floating around, the tech sphere as far as naming conventions.
Or
They could
somebody
also
just
just
decided.
be renaming it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's still really early in the product's lifetime, so there's no reason to think that they couldn't. I mean, again, look at the Gear thing, right? They call it
Yeah.
Galaxy Gear first, and then after that, everything else is just Samsung Gear. So
The Gear seems to be their wearable name. No
yeah,
matter
I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of minor name change, especially if it's another major OS revision here.
Yeah.
Maybe to try to decouple it from Android, because a lot of the point of Android Wear was that you don't need constant updates and you don't need all this other stuff because it's not like a phone where you're getting all
Yep.
these huge features all the time. So decoupling it from the same name as the current Android release makes a lot of sense to me.
Just call it Wear or even Google Wear. That would
Yeah,
probably sell a lot better than Android Wear.
yeah, people will get pissed off if their watch is still on 4.4 in 2 years.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to see that.
right after I/O, like every podcast is like they should just keep it as Android Wear, no version numbers, because even though you're gonna get updates straight from Google anyways, you don't want to hear people saying, "Why is my watch still on this version? It's like 2 versions behind."
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times we get emails asking what Samsung device I've never heard of is gonna get this update to Android 4.4.
Oh
It's
man.
usually one from Asia, so I've never heard of most of the ones over there,
Yeah, they push out a lot.
especially over there.
Existing Android Wear devices will see this update. They're all running the same hardware, pretty much. So it's not like we're going to have an issue where you've got something that is not compatible.
I think
On
the
the
only
hardware
one that's running something a little bit different is the Gear Live. Or no, that was running Snapdragon 400 too, right? And not an Exynos. It's just the Gear 2 and the SS Exynos.
Yep. So no worries there. Updates coming straight from Google, so those should come out pretty quickly. So yeah, get some new stuff alongside Android L for your Android Wear device.
Yep.
I think that's it for news and hardware, and there wasn't a whole lot of app stuff. I think the Chrome browser got updated to Material Design. The stable version of Chrome for Android got updated this week.
I saw that yesterday, I think.
Yep. And we had the Material update in the beta for a couple of weeks. So
that's why I switched to the beta.
As did Evernote. I don't know if you guys saw that too.
Yep. So we're starting to see a bunch of stuff get skinned for Material Design. What else? You guys, anything else that we missed? Anything else that we need to hit up?
I don't think so. I think that's everything.
Well, Alex, we kind of know what's new in your Android world already. You're in Chicago at a Motorola event, getting a whole bunch of Motorola stuff that we'll talk about tomorrow on Motorola Day. That's unofficial. We're unofficially calling it Motorola Day. Anything fun you want to talk about or you can talk about?
Well, I don't normally fly, so I started using the airline apps for. Well, I flew United and coming back on American Airlines, so I've been using that stuff lately and TripAdvisor. So probably stuff everybody's already used before because I don't travel that much. It's probably the first time I've flown in like 3 years. But American Airlines, you can actually put your boarding pass on Android Wear and check in through there when you're like in the flight. It's I don't know if it'll actually work, but it looks like you'll be able to see like how far away you are from your destination, how much time before you land or whatever. Um, I think that's about it for me. That's new. Let's see. Well, I'm running the material design version of the Today calendar.
Oh
The
yeah.
data. See if I can find a day that I can actually show. Okay, so this is the Today calendar.
Oh,
So this
nice.
is material design. I can't really scroll through it because there's a lot of stuff on here I can't really show without getting in any trouble. But I've started using the calendar a lot more, especially with IFA going on. I was able to put like all the press conferences on there, so I know what time all this stuff is. Because Berlin's 6 hours ahead of me when I was in Detroit. Now they're 7 hours ahead because I'm here in Chicago. So it was just nice being able to see what's going on, even though I'm not really paying attention to IFA right now. I think that's it. Anything that I have new would probably be at home anyways.
Right, you're
That
gonna
I
get
could
back
that
and
I
have a
could
whole
talk
bunch of
about.
stuff. Yeah, you'll
That I
get
can
back and
talk
have a whole
about.
bunch of stuff at your house. But cool, good stuff. On all the fun Motorola stuff we'll talk about in a
Next
couple
week.
hours. Yeah, well, absolutely, we'll have it all on the show next week. So,
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be anything else really to talk about but that stuff.
yep, cool. What about you, Nick? What's new, man?
I actually had a developer get a hold of me kind of out of the blue, and it was I did an article I don't know like 2 3 weeks ago, material design apps that are out there, just some of the best ones, and he made his own little kind of a note or a journaling type of app. It's called let me think of the name. I already forgot it. It's called Narrate. Sorry, and it's fully material design. Everything looks really good. Right now it's in beta, so if you go on Google Plus, do a search for Narrate, you should be able to find the community. You have to get accepted into it, so just hit join. I'm sure he'll probably accept you. He wants people to use the app, So you do that, do the normal, Google Play download, and you're set. It's I don't know, it's just a really really nice looking app. If you do journaling and stuff, it's got all your tags. You can do like location and date, attach pictures, things like that. It's got like a little calendar thing in there, and then there's a places entry in there. It's not implemented into the app yet, but I guess basically you can sort of mark places you've been and then journal entries that are attached to those places and that sort of thing. So it's just if you're into journaling, it seems like a really nice app and it's very pretty.
Cool.
I don't know. I think that's about it. I've been pretty terrible about getting new apps and stuff like that lately.
Yeah, I have two. The only reason why I had new ones is because I was traveling.
Yeah, I think I've been going on the Play Store and adding a bunch of stuff to my wish list because I don't have the money to be buying stupid little things right now. But plenty of themes and icon packs and wallpapers and all the crap that I usually spend my money on.
And I'll be honest with you too. It's been a really slow week for me. I don't think I've had anything new. Last week I had that creative speaker and microphone.
How's the microphone working out, or have you not used it?
I haven't really I haven't been able to get the software installed. Because right now I'm broadcasting from my work laptop, and so that software I can't install. I don't have admin rights to install it. So I got to get my personal laptop up and running so that I can install that software and really test it out. The mic works great. Even without the software installed, it's a little bit quiet. That's why I'm not using it for the show. But overall, I mean, it's pretty solid. I haven't given it a full run through with the software yet, which is why I haven't written up the review yet. So I got to do that this weekend. But I mentioned that the speaker, the Roar, Creative Labs Roar speaker is phenomenal. I got some other stuff coming in to review, but it's been a pretty quiet week. The only thing new I think I put on my phone was actually the Facebook Messenger app, because one of the like I'm never on Facebook, but one of the fantasy football teams that I play on was set up through a buddy on Facebook, and so we talk trash on Facebook Messenger, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the Facebook Messenger app. It's really, really decent. So.
Yeah. In my experience, Facebook Messenger is about the only good thing about the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually only download that out of Facebook WhatsApp, but because they own, well, they're going to own them unless China says no. There's that whole thing going on right now where China doesn't want Facebook to buy them.
Wait. You kind of skipped out there. The connection broke up. Say that again.
There's something in China. I don't remember the exact specifics. We wrote it up earlier this week. But China basically doesn't want Facebook to buy WhatsApp. Like, it still has to be approved. So it's not official yet.
Oh, WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay, so the WhatsApp purchase hasn't been finalized. Gotcha.
It's the same thing with Motorola and Lenovo. Like, theirs hasn't been finalized either.
Yep.
And I was talking to a couple people last week, and they're not people that work for Motorola, but other people that follow the industry like we do, and they're thinking it's something to do with China not wanting Motorola over there or something. I don't know.
Weird. Yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they get it all figured out.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it then. That's our important stuff so far from IFA 2014. That's our Motorola event. Don't forget that we are giving away an LG G3 right now and a Galaxy Note 4. So go jump on those, win you a device. That's really exciting stuff. I'm super stoked on those giveaways. You can find us on AndroidHeadlines.com, obviously. On Twitter at Android Headline without the S. Facebook, Google+, all over the place. Shoot us an email, text, not text, but you can message us on Google+.
Do not text me.
If you text me, I'm not going to respond. Also, how did you get my phone number?
You can text us at 911.
Oh, don't say that. That's awful. Straight up terrible.
Unless you're on Verizon, I don't think they allow it on Verizon.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. But thanks, Alex.
Spoiled right at the end.
Yep. I can just see the headlines now. Tech writer encourages idiots to text 911. It's like the woman who called 911 because McDonald's ran out of chicken nuggets.
Woohoo! Hey, nice timing on that.
So that's going to wrap up the show. Nick, Alex, thanks for hanging out, man. It's always a good time. Thanks so much.
Yep, see you everybody next week.
See y'all.